trying to prove to the mainstream media, because now they're starting to talk about this whole birth being fictitious coming from Meghan. So she's trying to put out there to the haters, look, it is me giving birth. See, I'm in the hospital dancing like a skank.
She's got form for strapping on baby bumps.
There's something very wrong with that shape, in my view.
I think they split within 12
Day. It was the slut job that ricocheted around the world for all the wrong reasons. Meghan Markle believed that she would finally put to rest the ongoing and, I believe, very accurate speculation that she had been wearing a moon bump. If these children were not born by Meghan Markle's body, then they are unable to sit in the line of succession, the royal line of succession. We're talking about Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, of course. Then this video. And let's take a look at some of it, because this video has horrified so many, because Meghan quite clearly here of moon bump. This is not a natural body position. That's before you even get to the fact.
She was never supposed to be seen, never supposed to be named, never supposed to exist in the version of the story the world was given. For years, the public absorbed a polished fairy tale, a royal romance wrapped in soft lighting, gentle smiles, glowing interviews, and the promise of a modern monarchy stepping confidently into the future. 2 pregnancies followed, each one presented with calm certainty, each one celebrated as proof that tradition could evolve without losing its magic. Children arrived, titles were announced, and the story moved forward as if nothing had ever been out of place. But beneath that flawless surface, another woman says she was pushed into the shadows, locked into silence, and erased so completely that even her name was never meant to survive. She is known only by the initials DL, and according to her, she wasn't watching from the sidelines. She wasn't assisting, she wasn't helping in some distant, forgettable way. She says she was the one who carried the children, both of them, from the very beginning to the very end, while someone else stepped into the spotlight and claimed the role the world applauded. DL insists her silence wasn't voluntary, it wasn't a quiet personal choice or a desire to stay private. She says it was a condition imposed on her, written into agreements that promised security, compensation, and protection, but demanded disappearance in return. No interviews, no acknowledgement, no lingering presence. Just a life lived off the record while another woman stood before cameras as the public image of motherhood. For years, DL complied. She stayed quiet, invisible, disciplined, telling herself that this was temporary, that the silence was part of the deal. But now she says that silence has turned unbearable because the story the world accepted, the one repeated endlessly without question, was never complete. According to her, the truth was sealed away, not because it was fragile, but because it was inconvenient. She describes the arrangement as coldly efficient, designed to leave no trace behind. DL claims she was recruited through a discreet, high-level agency that specialized in arrangements meant to stay unseen. The mission, as she understood it, was clear and absolute. She would carry the pregnancies. She would follow medical instructions without argument. And once the children were born, she would step out of the picture forever. No contact, no future involvement, no acknowledgement that she had ever existed. She says she was placed under strict conditions from the start. Her movements were monitored. Her access to the outside world was cut off. No casual phone calls. No unexpected visits. No personal freedom that might accidentally create a trail. Her days became a controlled cycle of rest, medical supervision, and isolation. According to DL, this wasn't framed as cruelty. It was presented as precision. Everything was designed to protect the outcome. The pregnancies would happen, the children would be delivered, and no one outside a carefully selected inner circle would ever know how. She says she signed documents spelling everything out in detail: compensation, confidentiality, permanent erasure. Once the births were complete, she would vanish from the narrative as if she had never been there at all. And for a long time, that is exactly what happened. Silence held the story together. The public never questioned it, the image remained intact, but silence, she says, eventually stopped doing its job. DL now claims she holds materials that push this out of the realm of rumor and into the territory of law. She alleges the existence of signed agreements, medical records, pregnancy timelines, ultrasound images, and written correspondence between legal teams and the agency that coordinated the arrangement. This, she says, is no longer about interpretation or opinion, it's about evidence. According to source claims, DL has retained legal counsel and is prepared to testify under oath. She has agreed to DNA testing, not behind closed doors, not in quiet negotiations, but through formal legal channels. And once that door opens, everything changes. Public relations can't slow it down. Image management can't soften it. Evidence moves on its own schedule. While DL describes years of isolation and physical strain, another version of events was unfolding in full view of the world. Cameras followed Meghan Markle through public appearances, interviews, and carefully staged moments that radiated calm confidence. Smiles were effortless, lighting was perfect. The pregnancies were presented as natural, joyful, and seamless. The image was soothing and controlled, reassuring the public that everything was exactly as it appeared. But according to DL, those two realities existed at the same time. She says she endured the private toll of pregnancy while watching from a distance as someone else received the recognition, the praise, and the public role that traditionally accompanies motherhood. One woman, she claims, carried the physical burden. Another carried the public narrative. The contrast, she says, wasn't accidental. Public visibility demanded consistency. Silence demanded obedience. DL admits she understood the imbalance at the time. She says she accepted it because the arrangement was never about fairness. It was about outcome. The children would arrive, the story would remain untouched, and the world would move on without ever questioning how it all happened. But once two pregnancies exist in two separate realities, one hidden and one performed, the questions don't disappear. They wait. Royal births are rarely quiet. For generations, they have followed rigid procedures designed to eliminate doubt. Doctors appear outside hospital doors. Official confirmations are signed, witnessed, and released. Every step exists to protect legitimacy. Yet in this case, those rituals were missing. There were no doctors on the steps, no immediate photographs, no formal confirmations witnessed in the traditional way. Instead, the public received brief announcements, clean statements that seemed to skip several steps. The children had arrived. That was all anyone was told. At the time, it was framed as progress, a modern approach, a desire for privacy. But privacy and protocol are not the same thing. One does not require the erasure of the other. According to source claims, questions raised behind closed doors were discouraged rather than answered. The absence of procedure wasn't explained. It was accepted. And when systems built on documentation allow gaps, those gaps eventually attract attention. For a while, the image held. Appearances continued. The pregnancy narrative moved forward as expected. But gradually, moments surfaced that didn't quite align with what many recognized as normal physical changes. Nothing dramatic on its own, just small inconsistencies. A bump that appeared unusually large one day and lower the next. Movement that created sharp creases instead of natural shifts. Silhouettes that seemed to change from one appearance to another. Individually, none of these moments proved anything. But patterns aren't built on a single image. They form through repetition. According to claims now emerging, these were not natural variations at all. DL alleges the use of specially designed prosthetic pregnancy bellies, molded to match different stages, worn to maintain a consistent public image. She claims appearances were rehearsed, angles were calculated, and every public moment was curated. The goal wasn't attention, it was credibility. But credibility depends on nothing going wrong. And eventually, something did. Then came the video that shifted everything. A hospital room, a visibly pregnant Meghan Markle. Music playing softly, movement meant to suggest labor was approaching. The message was clear. This was real. This was happening. Nothing was hidden. But instead of ending the discussion, the video intensified it. To many observers, it felt staged rather than intimate, performative rather than spontaneous. It wasn't the act itself that raised eyebrows, it was the timing. The video appeared long after the pregnancies, just as quiet questions were beginning to circulate. According to those familiar with crisis management, proof offered after doubt rarely reassures. It invites scrutiny. Rather than grounding the narrative, the video made it feel rehearsed, as though authenticity needed to be demonstrated instead of simply existing. From that moment, the conversation shifted. The focus was no longer whether the public should believe the story, but why the story suddenly needed reinforcement at all. Documents, however, speak louder than impressions. When official birth records became public, something immediately stood out. Meghan Markle's legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was missing. In its place appeared a title, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. At first, it was dismissed as administrative confusion. One side quietly suggested the palace was responsible. The palace quietly suggested it came from Meghan's team. No one claimed ownership of the decision. No one offered a clear explanation. According to DL, this was not an accident. She claims the alteration was deliberate, part of a legal strategy designed to blur accountability. Titles don't give birth. People do. And when documentation shifts focus from an individual to an institution, tracing responsibility becomes more difficult. In royal systems, names matter, records matter. They establish lineage and legal standing. Changing something so basic invites a question that won't stay silent. Until now, this could all be dismissed as controversy. That illusion ends with one claim. DL alleges Prince Harry was not unaware. She claims he knew about the arrangement, visited her during the pregnancy, and even wrote a handwritten letter expressing gratitude after the births. If true, this doesn't just affect a couple. It touches the line of succession itself. The monarchy isn't entertainment. It's a constitutional structure built on bloodlines and law. Titles, inheritance, and public funding depend on legitimacy. If children in the line of succession were born under undisclosed circumstances, the consequences are not symbolic. They are structural. According to source claims, internal discussions are already happening. Legal advisors, constitutional experts, quiet contingency planning. Not because a verdict exists, but because the risk can no longer be ignored. Now there is silence, no denials, no legal threats, no reassuring statements from figures known for carefully shaped messaging. In environments where image is everything, silence rarely signals confidence. It signals calculation or fear. Behind closed doors, sources claim plans are being drawn, conversations about distance, about protection, about shielding the institution from a truth it never expected to face publicly. At the center of it all are two children born into a story they never chose. DL says she is ready for testing, ready for court, ready to place truth above silence no matter the cost. If her claims are confirmed, this won't be remembered as embarrassment. It will be remembered as exposure, the moment a carefully constructed narrative collapsed under the weight of documents, biology, and time. The stage is quiet now, the lights have dimmed. But silence isn't the end. It's the pause before whatever comes next.